Hey, good afternoon, my dear beloved brothers and sisters. Hey, this is Matthew, Ambassador of Hope Richerzhagen, and today we're going to be talking about if marriage is even worth it in 2025. I see all these posts about people saying, oh, marriage is it's just for guys, or it's just, patriarchal society, and it's broken and it never worked and everything. So I want to talk about that today. In this world is questioning whether marriage still works in 2025. We're going to explore God's timeless design for the most powerful relationship on earth. Your marriage, more than any other relationship in your life, is going to affect your longevity, how long you live, your happiness, your joy, your physical condition. Like, this is so very, very important. Join me. I've been married 33 years and counting as we discover how to transform your marriage and move it from struggling to thriving, from good to great. Let's go, shall we? Does marriage still work in 2025? So many things are shifting around us. People keep asking, does marriage still work? Rising divorce rates, cultural shifts. People don't even understand if they're a man or a woman. And you're just like, are you guys kidding me? The popularity of situationships where people are not waiting for marriage. And guys, God's lined this out for us, and we're blessed if we obey. God isn't up there trying to make our lives miserable. He's there trying to bless us and prosper us and give us the very best life possible. With all these problems, it's easy to wonder if marriage has become outdated. But here's the truth. Marriage is not broken. What's broken is the blueprint we've been using. And that blueprint is an earthly, self-centered worldview. And we're going to talk about using God's heavenly blueprint. So I'm your guide. I'm Matthew, Ambassador of Hope. I married my high school sweetheart. We started going out when we were 15. We dated for 4 years, 1 month and 12 days. We've been married for 33 years. And we haven't been through everything. Some couples have definitely had it worse. We've been through a lot to get to where we are. And I don't want you to live through what we had to live through, okay? I want to help you. And I want you to know that there's no such thing as a perfect parent or a perfect child. There's no such thing as a perfect husband or a perfect wife. It doesn't exist. Just throw that mold away. My wife is not perfect, but she's perfect for me. And when you make that shift, when you pivot that in your mind, it changes everything. So as a marriage coach, I've worked with hundreds of couples, and I've witnessed firsthand marriage still works wonderfully when we follow the right design. Okay? And it just is. You do things the right way. It's just like making cookies. If you use the Toll House cookie recipe, you're going to do great. If you use the recipe just whatever, when I was a kid, I mixed together these chocolate chip cookies and I put some almond extract in it, and I put by the time I was done with them, the neighbor's German Shepherd dog wouldn't even eat them. And that's what happens in our relationships. We try a little bit of this, we try a little bit of reverse psychology. Well, if you're not going to take care of me, I'm not going to take care of you. No, that's not going to work. So, is marriage man's idea or God's design? Marriage actually goes back to the very beginning, before anything else was there except for the creation in Adam. Marriage isn't a social construct. So often we hear in the world around us that marriage is just this man-made thing and it's supposed to oppress women, which it doesn't. It liberates women and helps them more than anything, which is goofy. But anyways, it's not a social construct. It was divinely instituted by God himself. Adam was there in the garden, and if you think about all the other animals, here was a lion, and he had a lioness, and here's a duck, and he had a duckus. And I'm just being funny. Here's all these animals, and they all have this perfect counterpart, but there wasn't one for Adam. And God said, it's not good for man to be alone. And he put Adam to sleep, and he drew out of his side a rib that became the woman. Man was created from the dust of the ground. Woman wasn't. She was made from his side. And it's very instructive. In another video, maybe I'll talk about the position, where she came from, and why that's so important. Here's the thing. God he doesn't need us. I want to be very careful that I don't speak incorrect theology. He doesn't need us, but he wants us to be in fellowship with him. He wants to have something to share. And all of us need to have someone to share our life with. God made us that way. Even if we're the most reserved personality style, we're like hermits, you still need people in your life. We're community animals, okay? It's not good that man should be alone. I'll make a helpmeet suitable for him in Genesis 2:18. And he makes this woman and he brings the woman to Adam. And Eve was drop dead gorgeous. And he's like, this is it. This is what I've wanted. He looked at all these animals and there was no compliment for him. And he sees Eve and he's like, here she is. Oh, baby. So what's going on is the world is trying to explain where marriage came from. The world has an origin for man that says man evolved, which is ridiculous. Like there's no possible chance. And we struggle when we let go of what's true. It says in John 8:32, you shall know the truth and the truth shall make you free. On the opposite side of the same coin, if you believe a lie, you're in bondage. Does that make sense? If you know the truth, you're free. If you don't see the truth, you don't acknowledge the truth, then you're in bondage. And the world, our culture, offers competing blueprints. And these blueprints are whatever's convenient, whatever feels good. Well, this is working for me today. And marriage, a Christian marriage, a biblical marriage, is not based on how I'm feeling today. I made a commitment, and I'm going to follow through in that commitment. It has a solid foundation that God's design provides. If we try and build our marriage on shifting cultural sands, our house is going to fall down. And you see that all around you. All around you. You can see marriages that are falling apart. God doesn't want that to happen to you. So what we're going to talk about right here is partnership over performance. Okay? The world says love is a feeling. The truth says that love is a daily choice. And I have the opportunity every day when I wake up, I can wake up and I can either be a mother bear, well, in my case, I'd be a papa bear, and demand my own way, or I can wake up to love and serve other people. If I wake up serving my flesh, it says in Galatians 6:7, he that sows to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption or death. So if I wake up in the morning and I'm a papa bear and I'm like, nope, you're going to do it my way. This is all about me. I'm sowing into my life death, and I don't want death. I wake up and I love and serve because I want to reap the peaceable fruits of righteousness. And that's what you get, the fruit of righteousness, when you sow to the Spirit. And true, like the tingles are awesome. I love that when we're just like, but the tingles come and go. You know, it's not every day is like every day I'm choosing to rejoice. But not every day is like, the most amazing day. Some days the dishes are thick and the car breaks down and the internet doesn't work and, the baby throws up all over it. That's part of life. And instead of looking for the smoothest cruise ship, we should be wanting to become the best sailors. And smooth seas don't create good sailors. So we need to be looking, instead of having a good life, we need to seek to have a God life, okay? Love is a choice. It's a daily choice. And couples who thrive in 2025 understand that marriage isn't about performance metrics or keeping score. Couples who thrive in 2025 understand that marriage isn't about performance metrics. It isn't about keeping score. If you only do as much as you feel like meets with what your spouse is doing, you are headed in a downward triangle to nothingness. Because if you only do, like, let's say here's the top and here's your spouse. Well, if you only do what they do, they're only going to do what you do, and they're not going to do it as good as you. So they're going to be down here. So you're going to slow down. So they're going to slow down. Pretty soon, nobody has anything. Like, that doesn't work. Tried it, been there, done that, been around the corner. That's actually how most people build their life. Most people build their marriage, and what they do is they take from their spouse. This is the biggest shift that changed my life. They take from their spouse, they take from their spouse, they take from their spouse until they feel full enough that they feel like they can give back. And that's crazy. Imagine if you treated your bank like that. You'd go and withdraw, and you withdraw, and you withdraw until you feel rich enough, you're going to go make a deposit. It ain't going to work. It's not going to fly. We don't think of doing that with any other area of our life, but somehow we do that with our marriage because that's our nature we got from Adam, and that's what we've been taught. It's not about keeping score. Throw your scoreboard away because it doesn't work. It never has worked. You need to ask for what you want, and you need to show up as your best self, okay? When both spouses focus on serving rather than being served, marriage becomes the paradise that God intended it to be. And here's the thing. Most people, like, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Most people wake up for their spouse to serve them. They wake up in neutral. They wake up and they say, like a wife will say, well, I wonder if my husband's going to be nice to me today. Or a man wakes up and he says, well, I wonder if my wife's going to make love to me today. And they're waiting. They don't wake up, hey, what am I going to do for my spouse today? They're in neutral and they're saying, what is he going to do for me? And here's the thing, my dear beloved brothers and sisters, both spouses have a job to do. And they're totally different and they're totally independent of the other person, okay? Ephesians 5:33, it says this, nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife even as himself. It doesn't say when she submits to you, when she's a good wife. No, it says your job is to love her. And guys, I just want to encourage you, as I just did in this wedding that I did 6 days ago, your wife is not always going to be what she ought to be because she's human. Don't react to her. Lead her in love. Realize, it's okay to say in your mind, don't say it to her, but it's okay to say in your mind, if she was walking with the Lord, she would never do that. But don't you respond to that, because if you're here and she's down here and you respond to her, you're down here, she's going to respond to you, and it's going to be, like I said, a race to the bottom. Every man, love your wife even as himself. If you love yourself, you're going to love your wife. If you love your wife, you're going to love yourself. It's just, guys, and here's the thing, men are men of honor, by and large. And I love working with men. Here's the thing, my dear beloved brother, you will give your life for your wife. Will you give in death? And you'd take a bullet for her. I know you would, because you're an honorable man. But the question is, will you live your life for her? Will you give your life in living for her? What does that look like? It looks like listening. It looks like being present. It looks like helping her around the house. It looks like leading her. Don't expect her to cut the trail and you're going to help her. Just forget that. It's your job to lead. Okay? And then the next part of the verse, Ephesians 5:33, says, the wife see that she reverence, honor, and respect her husband. And you'll notice, ladies, it doesn't say when your husband is good enough, when he helps out around the house enough. No, it doesn't say that. There's no conditions. You have a job to do, just like the brothers have a job to do. And ladies, I know that deep inside your heart, your mothering heart, you want to love and serve. And I want to encourage you in that, because the Spirit of God's inside of you. You want to honor. You want to respect. You want to turn towards Him. You want to let Him lead. And I just want to cheer you on in that. So the thing is, here's 3 things that really work in marriage. There's lots of things. In this video, I'm going to talk about 3 things. Trust. Trust is the foundation of a very strong marriage. Is built through consistent honesty, integrity, and reliability. When trust is present, vulnerability and intimacy flourish. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. Here's the thing. If you can't trust your spouse, you don't really have anything to build with. And honestly, like if you're transforming your marriage, the foundation of everything is taking responsibility for yourself. Once you take responsibility for yourself, and you have goodwill, you like your spouse, you commit to meet their needs, it's so important that you build trust. Guys, if I could just speak to you right here, I love you. It's so important that you hear me on this, okay? Your wife, deep inside her heart, wants to respect you. And you need respect. Like that's one of your needs. It's your deepest abiding emotional need. In order to receive respect, you need to be respectable. And in order to do that, you need to do what you say and say what you're going to do. An honorable man always says what he means and means what he says. You commit to it, do it. Under promise and over deliver. Guys, thank you for listening. That's so very important. And sisters, be gracious with your husband, because he is a man and he has flaws and he does make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Be gracious to him and you'll lift him up instead of destroying him. The second thing is polarity that we're talking about today. God created masculine and feminine energy to complement each other. Embracing those differences rather than fighting against them creates a beautiful dynamic balance in marriage. And I just talked at the marriage that I officiated last Saturday, and I talked about how men and women are different. And here's the honest to goodness truth. Before marriage, opposites attract. After marriage, opposites attack. And what happens is we get married and we look at, oh, that's so cool she does this. Oh, that's so cool he does that. But once we get married, we try and drive it out of them. And that's part of them. And the two pieces, you and them, make a more perfect union and a better partnership. And if you drive that out of them, that's bad. You're losing part of what you need. And it's not like there are parts of us, like my wife's more organized than me, okay? So I'm a free spirit. I'm a high I. I like to have fun, just get it done, like woohoo. And I need her balance. I need the organization and the why are we doing this and why are we doing this right now? The thing is, if we were both like me, we'd just be running around, having a good time, which is fun for a while, but stuff doesn't get done. But if we're both like her, we'd never have any fun and we'd never do anything. You see how the two fit together in a perfect balance? And I was laughing because we're on this trip. My wife and I rented an Airbnb. We had a great time. It was wonderful. Did this wedding. And I woke up in the morning and I'm laughing because my wife and I are so different. She is not a morning person and I am. I wake up, I'm ready to hit the ground. Thank you, Lord, for this new day. And Brenda, if you want to, there's gropers and bounders. Gropers wake up and they say, good Lord, it's morning. And the bounders wake up and they say, good morning, Lord. And it's not right or wrong per se. It's just, we're just different. And I woke up and I laughed. And my wife has said, what are you laughing about? I said, I'm laughing because it's hard for you to wake up in this morning. And she's like, no, there's nothing wrong with me. You're overly happy. Isn't that funny? And we love each other and we make a great team. The next one's communication. Open, honest, loving communication is the lifeblood of marriage. Most people, here's the thing, when they don't get along, they focus on communication. Communication is so important, but your communication is basically sending your emotional state. 55% of communication is nonverbal, 38% is the tone of your voice, just 7% is the words. If you're mad at your spouse, it comes out of your body even if it never comes out of your mouth. It's so, so important that you have heartfelt understanding, that you really love, you accept your spouse, okay? And then learning to speak the truth in marriage and listening, like listen to your spouse. That's one of the biggest things. Guys, I don't mean to pick on you. Be patient with me. Guys, just listen to your wife. That's so powerful. One of the things I learned, it took me like a quarter of a century to figure this out. My wife wants to share, she doesn't want fixed. And I finally learned to ask her, do you want a solution or do you just want me to listen? Oh, just listen. So she tells me something and I don't try and fix it. I just say, oh, babe, that sounds so hard. Yeah, it is. And I'm not being goofy, like I really feel for her. And if you'll do that, it'll change your relationship. Thriving in a modern world. Times are different. We face challenges and trials our grandparents never faced, okay? Working women have the opportunity to talk to men and be outside the home and create all kinds of emotional connections with men that aren't her husband that the world has never seen. We've never seen this before. And we have our phones, and our phones are a huge distraction. We're sit down, we should be trying to talk to each other, and instead we're on our phone. And if you touch your phone more than your spouse, you're in trouble. And don't feel judged. Just like make a point of that. Yeah, I should focus on it. Social media influences our expectations. This is my dear beloved sisters. If you could just hear this so often, and this is especially true for women. I don't know exactly why it is, but especially true for women. They look at social media and my husband ought to be like this, and I ought to have this nice of a car, and I ought to have this nice of a house. Just forget all that stuff. Just be grateful for what you have. It'll change your life. It'll change your marriage. It'll change your family tree. There's a lot more working women who work outside the home. Let me put it that way. And that drains the whole family because there's only so much time and energy, and it's a whole nother thing. So that's something to be aware of. And then just totally being distracted, just constantly, like you're standing in line, you're on your smartphone. You stop at a stoplight, you're on your cell phone. Like that's just, your brain never has time to breathe. You need margin in your life. So just take a deep breath and be present, okay? When your marriage is grounded in God's timeless principles, it thrives in any generation, in any circumstance, through any challenge, and it always will. People say, oh, whatever, marriage was for so long and now we've evolved. No, we haven't. Marriage is always going to be there because God created it till the very end of time. from surviving to thriving, real transformation. If you're living as roommates, you don't have communication, you have growing resentment, you feel unloved and unseen. I get that. Like, I've been there. It hurts. It is no fun. Let me give you a hug. Let me shake your hand. Like, I know what that's like. We've lived through that, okay? Applying biblical principles like the ones I'm sharing right now in this video, serving one another, praying together, prioritizing the relationship. You take responsibility for your life. That's going to change and transform your marriage, okay? The paradise you're going to have when you do things God's way, and you can't control another person. You can't make anybody do anything, but you can live in such a way that they want to love and serve you. And here's the honest to goodness truth. You're going to pay one way or the other. You're going to pay now by building a relationship, by serving your spouse, by making you their greatest asset. And then when you want something, you say, hey, could you do this for me? Oh, absolutely, because they want to serve you. Should they serve you anyway? Well, yeah, but if you're a jerkwad to them, they're not going to want to. It really reduces the response. But if you don't pay now, you're going to pay later. You just ignore them. Like a lady, she's, I don't feel like making love. That's not a need. Someday you're going to want something. Hey, honey, could you help me with the truck? I'm busy. I'll see you later. I'm just being honest. And should he respond in love anyways? Yes, absolutely. I'm just speaking. Gravity goes down. You're going to pay. Pay early, pay up, love and serve, and you're going to have a relationship that you can enjoy, you can thrive in. It's worth it as friends, partners, and lovers. And it talks about right here, it talks about deep connection, mutual respect, spiritual intimacy, a joy-filled partnership, just as God intended. Is marriage outdated? Absolutely not. Marriage doesn't just survive. It becomes a paradise when built according to God's design. Marriage remains the most powerful relationship on earth to transfer two lives into one flesh. And let me tell you, you don't realize how selfish you are until you get married. Marriage is the biggest self-help improvement program on planet Earth, because I look at what I'm doing and my flesh is hurting my wife, and I'll do stuff for other people I'd never do for myself. You're the same way. And I say, I don't want to do that. I don't want to hurt her. And I change. I don't want that. It's a living picture. Marriage is a living picture of Christ and the church, of love, sacrifice, and purpose, of working together. When you have the right blueprint, your marriage can become a testimony to God's faithfulness and a haven of love in an increasingly disconnected world. And if you want more along the same line, I created a 5-step masterclass, cracking the code to making marriage a passionate paradise. And I just want to encourage you, don't give up on your marriage. Like, if you're watching this and you're in pain, let me just listen to this. My dear beloved brothers, my dear beloved sisters, no matter where you've been, no matter what you've been through, there is hope. God's not done with you yet. This chapter is not the last chapter in the book. God can totally transform your marriage into something so amazing. The only explanation is that a miracle has occurred. And it's happened in my life, and I've helped hundreds of other couples. So don't you be discouraged. You have hope. There is hope. Don't give up on your marriage. God's design still works in 2025. Learn these practical ways and apply his blueprint when you go to phenomenalmarriage.com/start. And I'd love to see you there. Love to see, there'll be a link to get into our free community, the Phenomenal Marriage Community. I'd love to help you transform your marriage. I'd love to walk alongside. I'd love to bless you. Please please subscribe, please comment. Thank you so much. May God richly bless you.